I'm one of the few people you ever gonna hear got drafted into the Army, okay, got an Article 15 court martial, and got out as a sergeant.
Hey guys, this is Elijah Vargas from the Goalswell podcast. Can you introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is William Buckholtz. I lived in the Chicagoland area my whole life, and I'm here for this podcast.
Awesome. Okay, I've been excited to get you on. This is going to be a 4th of July special, even though it's coming out a little bit later, Independence Day. So how was your 4th of July?
It was good. It's almost always with family. We go to my cousin's house and blow up a lot of things.
That sounds like fun. I went to my friend's house and we blew up some stuff, but it was, it's always fun to, do some fireworks and all that.
Well, even though it's illegal, everybody does it. It's kind of interesting. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's legal in other states. So, so what does Independence Day mean to you?
Picnics, parties, people celebrating the United States. I know it's our Independence Day, but just the celebration and the looking back and trying to understand the future. What the future's going to bring and what the past taught us. So.
Yeah. So it's just you'd say it's just like a celebration of our country, where it's going and where it's been, and like the full history behind our country.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's
and it's great for kids to learn about the birth of our country and the trials and tribulations everybody went through and the sacrifices. So yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah. No, of course. So with this podcast, I want to go through your background so people get to know who you are. So where did you grow up?
I started in Chicago. We were off of Chicago till I was maybe 5 years old. Then we moved out to Brookfield, where almost all my relatives were. My grandmother and grandfather on my mother's side. Most of the time grew up in Brookfield.
Brookfield, okay. So that's where like the zoo is, for those that don't know. Like the Brookfield Zoo.
The Brookfield Zoo.
Yeah.
Actually, I was I worked there for a little while.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just escorting people around, showing them different.
Yeah. Wait, like
displays.
A tour guide or like?
Yeah, like a tour guide. Just take a group and just walk them around, saying they want to go see the bears. Okay, the bears are over here.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. Did you make a lot of money doing that, or?
No. Actually, at that time, it was only a dime to get in.
A dime?
A dime.
Oh.
Yeah.
Man, I wish it was like that now.
No, I haven't been there in a long time, but I understand it's getting quite expensive.
Everything is, I swear. It's crazy. So what did you enjoy doing when you were younger?
Playing sports.
Playing
Playing a lot of ball. Baseball, mostly baseball. There was not any, we didn't have any organized football, not until you got in high school. So it was just, Little League, Pony League, Babe Ruth League. I was on some very, very good teams.
Oh yeah?
I had a lot of time playing ball. That's all I did every day, play baseball.
Did you continue playing baseball into high school?
Sure. Into high school, I was on the senior Babe Ruth team that won the U.S. championship twice.
Wow.
Once we went up to Minnesota and played in the national tournament, and then the other time was in Kentucky.
Wow.
So yeah.
Can you? What was like your most like memorable moment in that? Like, do you have any stories of the games?
Oh, geez, there was a lot of highlights. There was a close game, and we were up by a run or so, and they had a man on second, and I played center field, and the guy got a hit. He dropped in front of me, and the guy from second tried to score, and I threw him out at home. Stopped the rally, and we won the game.
Oh, so that's awesome.
It was, he had a strong arm.
Yeah. It always feels good when like you're playing a team sport and you contributed to the victory. You know what I mean?
Sure.
That always feels like the best. I remember it definitely wasn't as big a game as that. But when I went into college, we had like a welcome week or whatever, and we had like this huge kickball game between the student leaders and the new freshmen coming in.
Yeah.
And I was one of the new freshmen coming in, and they said like next point wins or whatever, and I was in line. I think I was like gonna be the next person kicking, and I looked behind me, and there was this kid that was standing behind me. He's like this tall kid, and he looked Polish. And me, I don't know, like I kind of, if you look Polish, I kind of assume you're probably good at soccer. And I don't know if that's probably a stereotype or whatever, but I was like, hey bro, you go first. I don't think I have like what it takes to kick this ball, you know? And he kicks it homer, like it was a complete, like everyone on the bases made it around, and we won the game, so.
Well, I was very astute of you to say, hey, I think you can do better than me, and,
Yeah.
and you know, help win the game.
Yeah, no, I was like, I think this guy's got it. Yeah, he definitely had it. And I guess I was right, so I'll give him all the credit though. So what was high school like outside of sports and like baseball?
Well, it was interesting because I came from Brookfield.
Yeah.
And in Brookfield at that time, back in 1965, there were two factions in school. There were the greasers, okay, and then there were the jocks, the guys that played ball. Well, I was in between that.
Oh. Okay.
So I knew all the greaser guys, I knew all the jock guys, and there was no conflict, okay. And plus, my family was feared.
Yeah.
Not too many people mess with the Buckholtz family.
Yeah.
They were. My sister was. She beat the hell out of boys in school, and my brother John was very tough too. And so I didn't have to prove myself too much because their reputation, you know, was ahead of it. So, but yeah, high school was fun. I wasn't a great student, but you know, got good passing grades and played a lot of ball. Still, I was on the soccer team as a goalie and played baseball. Football, I was on the team, but I didn't play much.
Yeah.
There was a guy that played in front of me that the coaches liked better, I guess. I don't know. So, yeah, I didn't play much football in high school. But baseball I played all through high school. And then after I got out of high school, I was still playing semi-pro for a little while. And then I got drafted.
Yeah.
Actually, I went to COD. I went to College through Page.
Oh, okay.
On a scholarship for about a year. I was out doing that, and then I took a break. And when I took the break, the draft was happening at that time in 68, 69, 67, 68, 69. So yeah, I got gobbled up in a hurry.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. I've got some friends that are at COD. I'm pretty sure. So can you kind of explain like the process of getting drafted and what that was like? And like where were you at the time?
Where was that?
Like in your life. So you were like.
I was out of high school. I was working for a company called Gray Hill. I was doing engineering stuff. So my schooling at COD was based on engineering and manufacturing engineering and that kind of stuff. A lot of electronics. And so yeah, when like I said, you have to sign up for the draft once you get to be 16, I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had to sign up, and at that time the Vietnam War was going strong, and they instituted the draft. And if you weren't in school, you got drafted. Well, I figured if I took one semester off, they wouldn't get me. Well, it didn't work.
It didn't work.
Gobbled me up in a hurry.
Yeah.
Sent me off to Fort Polk, Louisiana, the hellhole of the world. It's hot, nasty, a lot of poisonous animals, snakes,
wow.
and scorpions, and Fort Polk, Louisiana was all the training for Vietnam because it's jungle type of environment. So when you saw the movie Forrest Gump, where he's getting trained and he's climbing on holes, and yeah, you had to do all that stuff. It was
Man,
it was interesting.
yeah. I'm just like, I was thinking about like Rambo.
Yeah,
Forrest Gump too. Yeah, he was Vietnam, right?
yeah. Forrest Gump was Vietnam. Yeah.
Yeah.
So all that training, it was called Tiger Camp.
Yeah.
You went to basic training. Basic training is nothing more than just physical stuff, teaching how to march,
Yeah.
telling the rules, the code of justice, military justice code, to make sure that you understood if you break those rules, you can go to jail. And then, so you do basic, and that's 4 months, and then you go to AIT. AIT is nothing more than what your job's going to be.
Yeah.
So they evaluate you, and some people go to be shooting cannons, some people go to drive tanks. Most of us were 11B40, what it was called. It's infantry.
Oh, infantry.
Yeah, where you carry a gun and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay, so can you go through like the training? What were some of the hardest things to do?
Hardest thing for me was not to challenge authority. I don't like being bossed around.
Yeah.
I don't like people telling me what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. That's a big learning curve. I mean, for me it was, because you did what they said when they said it. You did it damn quick, and if you didn't, there was reprisals. I mean, they did get on your case and make you run and stuff like that. So they're breaking you down
Yeah.
to the point where you just do what they say. And so that was tough for me. I didn't like
Did
that.
that
The
ever-
physical part of it
Yeah.
was not a problem.
Did you ever get in trouble and have to run or anything like that?
For sure. Sure. Yeah. We were doing this thing called low crawling across the field. You get your gun in your arm and you just kind of crawl along.
Yeah.
And this is the third time we did it, and I got mad. And I said something I probably shouldn't have. I didn't know the drill sergeant was standing behind us.
Oh.
So he said, "Hey, there's a guy in this group that I don't know what I can say and what I can't say on this recording thing, but it wasn't very nice."
Yeah.
So they stopped our group and said, "Well, who said that?" And if I wouldn't have come forward, they would have made everybody pay. So I came forward, and yeah, they made me run around
Yeah.
with my gun over my head
Yeah. Well,
for hours.
that's noble because you took responsibility for it. Which I mean, you did do it, but
Well, yeah, it's
That's
either that or everybody's going to have to
Yeah.
run, and I don't want them to suffer
yeah.
because I was pissed off because they would make us low crawl all day. It was, yeah.
And you don't want them to like not like you for the rest of the. You don't know how long you're gonna be with them, right?
Right. Because some of them went with me to the infantry training.
Yeah.
So yeah, all my training was for Vietnam. It was all jungle training, blah blah blah. But I didn't go to Vietnam,
Yeah.
and that's because my brother was there. My brother John had joined the army, and he's my younger brother, and he was in Vietnam. You can't have two brothers in a hostile fire zone.
Yeah. When did that rule come into place? Because I think they still had that in World War II,
Mhm.
where they would send brothers together, or like whole families almost.
Yeah.
Did that come?
Well, that's
into-
called the Sullivan Act. It
Yeah.
actually started in World War One,
Oh, World
where
War I.
5 brothers were on a board of a ship,
Yeah.
and the ship got sunk, and all 5 brothers died. So when World War II started, they started to not combine brothers
Yeah.
into war. Saving Private Ryan is the part of that, where
Yeah.
that started to come to fruition.
That movie was so crazy.
That's the most believable setup I've ever seen when they're storming Normandy beaches and stuff
Yeah.
like that, and they're just getting blown up.
Oh, man.
It's just,
That movie was so sad. I had to watch it for my U.S. history class.
Mhm.
It was like, I don't know.
yeah, it's very realistic in my opinion. I mean, I was in some firefights and saw guys get shot and stuff, and it's not pretty.
Yeah.
And to know you're going to go and have this guy with a machine gun coming down and shooting on you, that's
Scary.
brutal stuff, yeah.
So would you say what would you say is like your favorite kind of like wartime movie?
Oh, the Sands of Iwo Jima with John Wayne, because my dad is in that movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they have some actual episodes where they're actually on the beach.
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, we watched that. My dad goes, "There I am, right there."
Yeah.
And he had a BAR, what was called. It was like a little smaller machine gun, and he was on the beach. And as a kid, you'd go, "That's not you," you know. But later on, naturally, you could rent the video, stop it at that point. Yeah, it was my dad.
Oh, wow. So your dad was in World War II?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
He joined the Marines when the war started.
Yeah.
He was on Guadalcanal, Bougainville, and Iwo Jima.
Iwo Jima.
Got shot on every one of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So growing up in our house, ex-Marine, what my dad said went. You did what he said. And,
Yeah.
You know.
Is that part of the reason why your family was like had that reputation?
Of being tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because my dad, you take shit from nobody.
Yeah.
Okay, type of attitude. So, yeah, he was a tough guy. Not that he was pushing us around and hitting
Yeah.
us and stuff like that, but his rules were his rules, and you didn't break them. If you broke them, the consequences were swift and quick. I mean, that belt would come off of his waist in a heartbeat. It was like Zorro.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, that's one of the reasons we were tough, because my dad was tough, and he taught us not to take crap from nobody.
Yeah. Is that one of the reasons why you had like problems with authority? Because like you looked up to your dad and then you didn't want to like look up to anyone else? Or is it something else?
That's probably a fair analysis. Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. To this day, I still have a problem with authority. I mean, I don't like people telling me what to do. As you get older, you can suck it up a little bit better.
Yeah.
You accept it, but
Yeah. I definitely get that. If like I know my place, like in like most situations, but if the authority doesn't have like the experience or it doesn't seem like they know what they're doing, then I have a problem with authority. But if they have like years and years of experience, or basically just that, where they have like they've studied this, then like yeah, I'll listen to you. But if you don't, do you understand what I'm saying?
Sure. Yeah.
Like you have my respect.
If you can support, show me that what you're telling me is credible and something that I believe is the way to go, and you have those credentials, then yeah, you start respecting people.
Yeah.
I mean, and I flourished in the Army. I mean, I had a lot of ups and downs, don't get me wrong. But I got out as sergeant.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Which wasn't easy, because I followed the rules and did what was necessary, and I don't know if I should say this. I'm one of the few people you're ever going to hear that got drafted into the Army, okay, got an Article 15 court martial, and got out as a sergeant in 18 months.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
A lot of highs and lows.
Yeah. I think because I've before your podcast, I kind of like prepared by listening to like a lot of veterans, like veteran podcasts. There's this one called The Sean Ryan Show, and he gets a lot of like Navy SEALs. He even got like a World War II vet. And I noticed like a lot of the people that made it really far and like were the most interesting people were the people that would get in trouble a lot, like during training or during some missions that they'll make mistakes or they'll go out drinking, and then they turn out to be like some of like the greatest veterans out there.
Yeah, I guess if you analyze it, it's because I think is that you're trying to be a leader.
Yeah.
Okay, and do the things that you think are necessary to achieve a goal. Okay, and if somebody gets in your way, sometimes you got to run over them.
Yeah.
And it's consequently you get in some trouble.
Yeah. So, can we move out of like, because we started with like your training. So, they put you in. Where did they move you to from the Louisiana, the training?
Well, my orders came in for Vietnam.
Yeah.
And I went to the first sergeant and said, "Hey, I got a brother in Vietnam."
Yeah.
And so they checked it out. As a matter of fact, your grandfather, his brother was in Vietnam.
Yeah.
Ed Davidson, his brother was in Vietnam. That's how we kind of came together when we got overseas.
That was one of my questions. I was going to ask how you.
So they really can't send us to Vietnam, but they can still send us to Korea, and they put us on the DMZ, which is a hostile fire zone. But it's mostly guard posts and trying to stop infiltrators from coming in. So when I got there, I got in some trouble. Okay. I don't know how much detail you want me to go into that, but I got in some trouble. I already had my Article 15. That was because I went home to see my mother because she was in a bad accident. And that was, but if you go back, they just slap your hand and take some money from you. But the court martial was about, I was in this other company. It was a company. And there was this guy that wanted to try to get ahead. And so he would be snitching on people about all kinds of stuff. And I didn't like that. And he did some stuff and told some people stuff about me that I didn't like. So the next time I saw him, and it was we were up on the zone. Actually, we're in the middle of the zone in a guard post. And he was my relief. And I told the sergeant, keep that guy away from me. I don't want him around me. He's a deceitful little liar, and I don't like him. And the sergeant just said, Bill, take it easy, take it easy. So he came to relieve me, and he said something I didn't like, and I beat the shit out of him. And since it was in a hostile fire zone, it's you're taking somebody out of service, okay, which is called for a court martial.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But when I got out of it because he lied. He lied that I hit him with my gun and stuff like that. But he'd tell other people that I didn't do that. So his story wasn't the same. Yeah. So when we went up in front of the board, this one sergeant, he testified on my behalf saying, hey, this guy's saying one thing and he's really, that never happened. I mean, yeah, maybe he did beat him up, but he didn't hit him with a rifle, because hitting him with a rifle is...
That's serious.
Yeah, it's serious stuff.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I got out of it and got switched to another company. When I got to that company, that's when I met your grandfather, Ed, and we were all real tight and just started hanging out together. And when we came down south, I was in a mortar platoon, even though I was infantry. They put me in this called weapons platoon. They shoot big mortars, 81 millimeter mortars. They put me in there because I had an engineering background, and they needed somebody to run the fire direction center. And so the first sergeant liked me, and we got along real good together. And then the sergeant that was running the platoon, he got sick, so nobody else could run it. So I started running it, and consequently had some major successes that got me a lot of notoriety and so forth. So they promoted me quickly.
Oh, that's awesome. So that education from COD came and paid it. Yeah,
because when you're shooting mortars, you got to have it's a vernier scale, and you got to know azimuths. That's not the right word, but yeah, you have to know the grid coordinates.
Yeah.
And so forth, and you have to call that into a table that you look up, and then you plot it on a board so you can get the direction and so forth. Yeah, so I was good at it.
That's good.
Okay, so we set it up. actually, it was an interesting story. Let me tell you.
Yeah, of course, of course.
The first sergeant, he loved mortars, and since I was doing a very good job, he allowed us to set up a fire direction center with a plotting board and a whole dedicated on one vehicle.
Yeah.
And he sent us out to this exercise we were going to have. It was going to go out to this impact area and shoot off mortars, hit stuff within the impact zone. Well, he sent us out there a day early, and we were the only ones there. And so this lieutenant came up and said, "Hey, you guys want to shoot some stuff into the impact area? Shoot some rounds?" So we said, "Sure." So we would pick out stuff like an abandoned tank, a cave, a big rock.
That sounds fun.
And we just hit it. But well, what was nice about that is if you get an 8-digit grid coordinates on a specific spot, you can usually drop a mortar around like within 10 feet of it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Oh wow.
That's if you have an 8.
Yeah.
I had 12 and 16 grid coordinates. I could put it down somebody's pocket from where we were at.
Wow.
So we had all that information, everything, and we're set up, and the rest of the division comes out, and everybody else gets set up, and blah blah blah. And we got all the guns arranged, and we're ready to go ahead and start shooting. And all of a sudden, I turn around, there's a general in back of us. So since I was in charge of the platoon, I had to report to him. And he goes, "It looks like you guys know what you're doing." I said, "We're the best. We're the best mortar platoon out here, guaranteed." And he goes, "Really?" He says, "Sonny," he goes, I know a little bit about mortars." He goes, "You think you could hit that tank in the middle of the area?" I said, "One shot, maybe two." Because usually when you shoot, you adjust.
Yeah.
You walk it back and forth. And boom, we hit it on the first shot.
Oh,
Because
wow.
I had the 16-day grid coordinates for that location.
Yeah.
Then he said, "Well, what about that cave over there?" And boom, we hit the cave, so we impressed the hell out of him.
That's
and
awesome.
One of my gunners was very fast at setting up guns, and he asked how quick he could set up the mortar. And I told him, "Yeah, Rogelio, his name was Rogelio Thomas, I still remember him, great guy."
Yeah.
I said, "Rogelio can do it within 5 minutes." He goes, "No." So we broke it down and set it back up in 5 minutes, and we got a big commendation.
Yeah.
And he sent it to the first sergeant. The first sergeant naturally loved mortars, so so now our platoon was like the golden child. I mean,
Oh yeah.
everybody wanted to.
That sounds awesome.
Everybody wanted to pat us on the back, and got a lot of notoriety from it.
That's awesome.
So that's how I started making inroads to being a sergeant and stuff like that.
So making waves. Can you keep explaining like your journey to becoming that sergeant? I kind of want to like understand
it. Just taking charge. Just
Yeah. Okay.
It's okay. Here's what we're going to do today. Here's what we're going to learn. Going out and doing exercises to increase our speed at setting up guns and doing that over and over and over again until we got very good at it. I just took charge. I don't know why I took charge.
Yeah.
The sergeant wasn't there, like I said, he got sick, so there was nobody else to run it.
So you took leadership.
So I took on the responsibility, and nobody else challenged me. So I don't know if it's just my personality or my knowledge, I think, was probably the main aspect, because I could understand the vernier scale and the grid coordinates and stuff like that, and how to set the charges on the mortars and stuff like that. So yeah.
You were still with my grandfather and Ed at this point?
Yes.
Okay.
They were in a different platoon.
Okay.
Ed was still in a weapons platoon. Your grandfather, he went to headquarters, because, as you know, he's a pretty good artist.
Yeah.
And so they wanted him to paint signs, real impressive signs. So yeah, he did that. But when we were down south, you probably went up until about 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and then your time was your own.
Yeah.
So we would always hang out. We'd go to the show or go to the bar or whatever. So.
So the show was the theater, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there was usually the top top movies that were out at the time always went to Army bases.
Yeah.
So we saw all the top movies. So we'd go do that, or you go down to the village, which was always interesting.
Yeah.
Um,
In Korea. Like,
yeah, in Korea.
Yeah.
Outside almost every Army post is a city
Yeah.
or a village. And that's because the GIs come out there and spend a lot of money. So you go to the village, there's girls, there's booze. I mean, there's a lot of stuff to get in trouble with.
Did you ever get in trouble at any point after that, or?
Not with the military. I mean,
Okay.
I got some scuffles. But, I didn't break any more rules.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Especially with like your leadership and everything taking.
Yeah, they would have frowned on that.
Yeah.
So no, like I said, there was some confrontations that I got into with some guys on occasion, but no, nothing of any magnitude.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm trying to think if I should go into this, because I'm about to ask like how long did you serve and like when you left, but you had mentioned that you had gotten into some firefights. I kind of want to hear like those stories, if you don't mind going into that.
Well, North Koreans, their job was to try to infiltrate South Korea.
South Korea. Yeah.
Okay, so the DMZ, okay, the demilitarized zone that separates, it's on the 38th parallel
Yeah.
that goes through and divides North Korea to South Korea. That DMZ is a mile wide. Okay, well, it's a lot of room for people to try to infiltrate and try to get in through the fences. And what they would do is then they'd get through and they'd ambush somebody and kill them. Okay, so our job was to make sure they didn't infiltrate the South. So you would see them. You would see them going through it, and you'd yell, stop, and they wouldn't stop, so you start shooting.
Yeah. With your guns or with mortars?
No, mortars, I kind of misled you there a little bit.
Yeah, I'm
The
sorry.
mortar part of it was only after we were on the DMZ.
Okay.
Because we were up on the DMZ for about 6 months.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Okay.
And then they transferred us down because they rotate different divisions in it. So they moved us out and brought us down to another facility.
Yeah.
And that's when I got involved in the mortars.
Oh, okay.
But when I was on the DMZ, that was nothing more than getting up every day, going out in the dang ass cold
Yeah.
or heat. But it's on the 38th parallel, so it's the same parallel as Chicago.
Yeah.
So the weather they get in Korea,
It's
they
very
got
similar.
very similar. So every day, well, 4 days, you got 4 days on, 2 days off. So for 4 days, every night at 6 o'clock, trucks get loaded up, you go out in the zone and walk the zone.
Yeah.
Your section usually was maybe about a block long, and that's what we would do. I'd walk down one side and see your grandfather, and he'd say everything's okay on my side, and then I'd walk down to see Ed,
Yeah.
and say all right, and you do that all night, just walk
Yeah.
back and forth, and
4 days a week.
4 days a week.
Yeah.
Most of the time it was during the night.
Yeah.
During the day there wasn't much.
People don't want to cross.
Well, yeah, because you can see them.
Yeah.
At night, they would try to infiltrate. So when they break through a certain point, if there was a firefight going on, you had to deploy down to that site to
Yeah.
protect
To
that
help
area.
your-
Yeah. You know, but that didn't happen a lot. Most of the time, they got caught trying to get through the wire and stuff like that. So you would
Yeah.
just call it in, and then a lieutenant would come out and they'd grab and haul them off someplace.
Yeah. So, would you say it was like once a month, or how often was it?
A firefight?
Yeah. or
I
like
would say, yeah,
someone coming in.
every couple of weeks, maybe,
Yeah.
where you'd actually have to shoot some rounds.
Yeah.
I mean, did you really know if you hit the guy or not? No, I don't know.
Yeah.
No, you knew he was there, and you knew he was behind that berm, so you just kind of empty out your gun.
Yeah.
Then maybe next day you'd go out and try to see if you could find the body or something like
Yeah.
that. But yeah, maybe every couple of weeks there'd be some area that they were trying to get through at. Usually it was because some knucklehead would fall asleep, and then they would probe that area of the fence and say, look at this guy, he's sleeping.
Yeah. So
So
they
then-
try to go through.
Yeah, they try to sneak through, or they kill him,
Yeah.
cut his throat. Yeah. Why guys didn't take the stuff seriously is beyond me. I don't know. I took it serious. I didn't want to have one of these jokers get through or attack one of my friends or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So were these like soldiers, or were they civilians, or the people that were crossing?
They were soldiers.
Okay, soldiers.
So, yeah.
I didn't know if that was a good question to ask. But
That's
well.
Yeah. Well, I guess if you were a civilian on in North Korea and you wanted to get out of North Korea,
Yeah.
you could try to get across the border,
Yeah.
but it was hard. You would have to get past a lot and knowing what you're doing. The reason that the army, the North Korean army, was trying to get through was nothing more than just to cause chaos and kill a couple of people, and almost like a kamikaze type of thing. They didn't last too long because they either got caught or shot.
Yeah. So you guys did your job well then, right?
Yeah.
That's good.
And like I said, I mean, you know the guy to your left, you know the guy to your right, you know that he's there for you.
Yeah.
And that was the most.
It's like brotherhood.
That's why your grandfather and Ed and I were so tight, because we could depend on each other. I mean, Ed took it serious, I took it serious, Hansi took it serious. So but there was a lot of guys that didn't.
Yeah.
And it had to do with drugs and drinking and shit like that. They would, pass out because they'd go up on the zone and get high. And it's stupid, but that's what they did.
Yeah. So I want to move into like how long did you serve in Korea?
1 year.
1 year, and then afterwards, where did you go?
Home.
Okay, so you just went straight home.
Yeah, because you had a choice, okay, to either re-up or get an early out, because you've got to serve 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay, but I only served 18 months. And the reason being is because my year in Korea was up, and they said, well, if we send you back to the States, you're just going to be sitting around a military post someplace and doing nothing. So do you want to get out early? So I said, yeah, I can get out early. So I got out, spent a year in Korea, and it was 4 months of basic and 4 months of AIT. So yeah, I served 18 months.
Wow. So you served 18 months, and you had already become a sergeant.
Yeah. That's why I said it. You're not going to hear too many people that were drafted, that were in the Army, got a court-martial, Article 15, and got out a sergeant in 18 months.
Yeah.
And once again, I'm not saying I did anything great. It was just kind of like being in the right place at the right time, or the wrong place at the wrong time.
Add to that the leadership, the knowledge, and everything else that you had with you.
Right.
So that's awesome.
Yeah, it was.
So after you got out, where did you decide to work?
I went back to the company I was working for when I got drafted.
Was that what was that again? Can you remind me?
Yeah, the name of the company was called Gray Hill. It's located on the Grange.
Yeah.
That's where I really got fired up about engineering, manufacturing engineering, building and fixtures and test equipment to make sure the switches were being built right, and fixing the equipment and running machines, and it was my niche.
Yeah.
My niche. I loved it. So I went back to work there because they still have to give you your job back. You can't say, well, you're gone for 18 months and you don't have a job. I mean, it's the law. You got to hire the person back. So I went back and went back to school. Got my 2-year degree in manufacturing engineering. Then I went to the University of Chicago, got management development courses, and went there. And eventually left Gray Hill, went to another company. So pretty much it.
Yeah, so that was basically...
Eventually I got a business degree from Governor State University. So yeah, the last company I worked for was called Federal Signal. They make light bars and the big sirens that go off outside. Okay,
Yeah,
when there's a tornado.
Tornado.
Yeah, I ran that division.
Oh wow.
So yes,
Yeah.
so I ran that division for like 12 years, and eventually resigned for a lot of reasons, and bought Filter Clean, the company that I bought and my sons worked at. And we had that for like 20 years.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was a good time. I mean, some of the best times of my life was trying to find solution to a complex problem. Okay? In manufacturing is you got to do a lot of investigation, a lot of brainstorming, get a lot of people involved, throw a lot of things in the fire and see see how they work and so forth. So yeah, came up with some cool stuff.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, a lot of challenges, and it worked out very well.
That's awesome. So, how has being a veteran like impacted your life?
I think before I went into the Army, I was not focused. Okay, didn't have a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? I didn't have a lot of grasp on how business worked and so forth. Playing baseball, you become a natural leader and so forth. I mean, that kind of stuff happens. But in business, it's a whole different way of looking at developing your relationship with the company and managers and so forth to succeed. And I think the military helped me have that discipline.
Yeah.
It really said, get up every day, go do your job, do it the best of your ability, and take on tasks that other people don't want.
Yeah.
I mean, I got more notoriety for doing stuff that wasn't my job than anything. It's not your job. Well, yeah, but it needed to get done, so I took care of it. Yeah.
That's a good quality to have.
Yeah. And the military brought that out of me.
Yeah.
I think it was always there, but yeah, I think the military helped me see that and helped me do that and helped me realize that hard work and dedication
pays off.
Pays off. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay, so have you, looking at like other veterans from other wars, like maybe your father or other people that you've met, what differences have you noticed in like other veterans?
Different than me?
I should have said what I meant. From different wars, different. You know what I mean?
Yeah. My experience, okay, there wasn't a lot of bloodshed. There wasn't guys getting their arm blown off and seeing your buddy get shot in the head and stuff like that, like in World War II or in Vietnam.
Yeah.
My brother John suffered quite a bit because he was in Vietnam for almost a year. He was the first company to go into Cambodia to start setting up ambushes for the Ho Chi Minh Trail. I don't know if you remember that era.
No.
But what the North Vietnamese were doing was going through Cambodia and coming up and back of the United States and the Vietnam, South Vietnamese, and ambushing. So his company went into Cambodia to stop that from happening.
Yeah.
So my brother saw a lot of bad stuff. My dad saw a lot of bad stuff. My dad never talked about it. My brother John never talked about it. But they saw some nasty stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's the difference that I see, is that when I see a guy that was in Vietnam or World War II, they saw some stuff that people talk about, post-traumatic stress disorder and stuff like that. Those guys had it in spades, okay, and they never bitched about it, they never complained about it, they just did their job and survived.
Yeah.
Like you said, the scene of Private Ryan, when they're hitting the beaches, I mean, to see a guy getting a arm blown off, guy dragging his torso,
Yeah.
just because of reflexes. Yeah. So, those guys saw that stuff. Like I said, I saw a couple of guys get shot, and I shot at a couple of guys, and I don't know if I killed them or not, but I shot at them. But it's not even in the same level as what those guys saw.
So people
Survived.
people that were living through that are less likely to talk about what they went through. Just
Guaranteed.
yeah.
You will very rarely get a guy. Well, I have World War II veterans or anybody that was in Vietnam to talk about killing people and shooting and seeing your buddy get killed. So they very rarely say anything. My brother John, my dad never. I would try to quiz them, and they would just say, we don't know. Did what I had to do.
It's tough.
Yeah?
It's really hard.
You want an education. You want to have a good education. Go to the VA hospital, Hines Hospital
Yeah.
in Cook County. Just walk through there and see some of these guys that are suffering because of exposure to Agent Orange and seeing their buddy getting shot, or they lost a leg, or these guys are all just suffer still. So it's a depressing place to go, but it's an education.
Yeah, I think people need to be like way more cognizant. I think people take like their veterans for granted.
Yes.
Especially with Vietnam, because it was such like a controversial war.
Right.
Do you think one of my questions was, I don't know if you want to answer this, but do you think we should have been in Vietnam?
Yeah.
Looking back.
I think at the onset of the Vietnam conflict, okay, America always wants to be the police force.
Yeah.
They always want to help the country that they're aligned with, or their ally. Okay, and we're always doing that. Sometimes we don't do it for the right reasons. I don't think Vietnam was the right reason.
Yeah.
I think it started out that way, but eventually it got to be a conflict that wasn't supported by the American public.
Yeah.
And I do think that it was a tough time in our history, and probably should have got a lot earlier.
Yeah. It's pretty sad.
Yeah, well, I'm not a big fan of politicians. And it's politicians that cause wars. People
No,
don't.
it is, yeah.
People don't.
Yeah.
There's not one general. There's not one. I shouldn't say that. There's not one. There's very little military people that want to start a war.
Yeah.
Politicians want to start wars. Why? Because it's good for them to
The
economy and to brag about, and to say, look at what my country's doing, and you're not doing a damn thing. You're sitting on your dupa and think you know more than what the generals know. Especially a guy like Donald Trump. I mean, you don't want that guy in office. Jesus Christ, he's a nut. He'll start a war, guarantee it.
Yeah. I think a lot of them. So I kind of want to move away from like war talk and get into like your family,
Okay.
if you don't mind.
Sure.
So, at what point did you meet your wife?
Off and on, I've known Natalie since 8th grade.
Oh wow. Okay.
Off and on. Now, we
Yeah.
didn't go together all the time.
Yeah.
She lived right down from the ball field, Ellard Park in Brookfield. It was a big ball field, and I spent a lot of time with my buddies and so forth at the ball field. So young girls like to come around and watch the guys running around, flexing their muscles and throwing baseballs and stuff like that. So Natalie was part of that clique, or the girls
that
coming
did
around.
that.
And I would talk to her and say hi, and but we very rarely went out.
Yeah.
Okay. Once in a while, go over to our house and play some ping pong downstairs in her basement.
Yeah.
So off and on from 8th grade on. Plus, her father was a custodian in a church that was right next to my house. So she would go there to help her father clean up the church, and she'd hang out the window and we'd talk and flirt and stuff like that. So we were off and on all the way through high school, and I'd see her maybe once a week. Go to the drive-in and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then got a little more once I graduated. Got a little more intense and so forth. Then when I got drafted, I decided that I better pick a girl out, okay? Because I don't know, I just felt I had to have a girl at home.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so a lot of girls that I went out with, I just didn't have the qualities, that personal attributes that I thought were in line with what I liked in life. So, but Natalie's were. So I said, let's get married. So I got her engagement ring and stuff.
So
That was before I went to Vietnam. Before I went to Korea.
Okay.
Before I got drafted.
Yeah.
I got engaged. Now, I didn't want to get married because I didn't know where I was going to go.
Yeah.
If I would have went to Vietnam, I probably wouldn't have got married. Because who wants to leave a widow?
Yeah.
So once I found out I wasn't going to Vietnam and I was going to Korea, I took leave, came home, and got married and went back.
Good for you. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, I've known Natalie. We've been married 54 years. No, yeah, 54 years.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So I have this question on here. What do you think is like the key to having a successful marriage?
Oh, I got a lot of opinions on that stuff. A successful marriage is a partnership.
Yeah.
Period. Okay, you gotta like that person. You gotta respect them. You have to have somebody that you know has got your back. Okay, and it's going to support you through thick and thin. Well, I love her. Well, maybe love encompasses all that stuff. I don't know, but I do believe you have to form a partnership where, I mean, Natalie's strengths are my weaknesses. Her weaknesses are my strengths.
Yeah, so it's like a
So
puzzle.
so it's always comes together. I mean, Natalie and I have very little things in common. Okay, we don't have a lot of things in common, but we make a good partnership because we have the support of each other in every aspect of it.
That's good.
Yeah, trust is pivotal in a marriage. Okay, and trust Natalie with my life, and vice versa. So yeah, I think that's what makes a good marriage. Makes a good partnership.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I mean, because I loved a lot of girls in my time, but I don't think one of them would have had the attributes that Natalie has.
Yeah, and to be married for, what'd you say, 54 years?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. To be married to someone that long, they better have you better fit together to work.
Yeah. And to put up with me, that's not easy either.
You don't seem too bad. I mean,
I've
you seem
mellowed
like a
over
cool
the years.
guy.
I've mellowed over the years.
Okay, so at what point did you guys have kids?
I think I got married when I was 20, and she wasn't even 18 yet. She had to get special permission. So I think 25. I think it was like maybe 7-8 years after we were married.
Yeah.
We decided to have kids.
Yeah.
Want to make sure you get a house, you can get your finances squared away, get stable. Kind of look at your finances and make sure that you can afford them. I'm seeing some people jump into having kids right away and they really can't afford them.
Yeah.
Because they are a little money drainer, I'll tell you that. So yeah, I think Natalie was 25 when she had the first kid. Something like that. I'm not sure. Well, I could probably do the math. Bradley's 45 years old. So, yeah, she was Yeah, 23, 24.
Yeah.
I'm 2 years older than her, so.
Yeah. Okay, so again, like a similar question. What do you think is the key to raising kids?
Beat them until they bleed. No, I don't. I was teasing, naturally.
Yeah.
I, here's just a glimpse of the way I see changes in the way kids are raised now. Today.
Yeah.
People now want to be friends with their kids. I was never my kid's friend. Okay, I was the guy that set the rules, set the stage. I was the guy that said, "Here's what you can do, and here's what you can't do." We set a good foundation.
Yeah.
Okay, so that when they were growing up, they had to toe the line in some areas, and a lot of times you had to say no to stuff, and they would, pitch a fit and cry, and no, you can't. You're not getting that. Period. So I think what I believe is the most important thing about raising kids is building a good foundation.
Yeah.
You gotta tell them they gotta be honest, truthful. Okay. You gotta work hard every day. You gotta get up with a mission in life every day, and form a good foundation. Once you get the foundation built, the kids are gonna go their own way.
Yeah.
Okay.
But as long as they have it.
They have a good foundation, they're probably going to make better choices in life.
Yeah.
Than kids that are just willy-nilly and don't have any discipline in their life. I think parents right now don't say no enough.
Yeah. I agree.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, I never spanked one of my kids ever. Well, I should say that. my other son, Brian, he pushed me to the hill one time, and I kicked him in the ass really hard. But no, I never spanked them. But they knew the rules. They knew what they could get, they can do, and what they can't do. So, and the other thing I think happened that helps out a lot is Natalie was a stay-at-home mother. I mean, she stayed home. I mean, I insisted on that. If we're going to have kids, you're there with them. I don't want them raised by babysitters and people that I don't have the same values as that we have. Okay, and don't teach them the things we want taught to them about being a good person and blah blah blah. So that helped out a lot. I mean, Natalie was there 24/7 for him.
Yeah.
So I don't see that a lot happening anymore.
I was
because
gonna say, yeah.
And it's not that it's bad. It's just more difficult.
Yeah.
Because you got to make sure you find that right person that's going to install those values that you believe are important in life.
Yeah.
And sometimes they don't.
Yeah, because especially nowadays, kids are like basically raised by the schools or raised by the internet, and clearly that's not how it happens anymore. Kids are just like, they grew up completely different from their parents. Their parents have like no say.
Yeah.
Especially like you said, when their parents don't know how to say no to stuff, then bad things happen.
You're right. And sometimes saying no is tough.
Yeah.
You want to do that for them, and then it's not in their best interest. Okay. I remember when Bradley wanted a new baseball bat, the aluminum baseball bat. That thing was like $30, $40, $50 at the time. And we really couldn't afford it. And I didn't think he'd take care of it. So I gave him a broomstick, and said, here's your bat. You take care of this. You make sure it's in the house every day, make sure it's taken care of, and blah, blah, blah. And you do that for 2 weeks, and I'll buy you that aluminum bat. Well, I came home one day, and he was late, and I saw the broomstick laying in the middle of the yard, and he was in bed.
Oh.
And I said, Bradley, where's your bat? Oh, he jumped out of bed, he ran outside, he got it, brought it back inside. And I said, you're not going to get that aluminum bat. I told you got to take care of that. And so you're not going to get that aluminum bat. And he started crying, blah, blah, blah. If I would have gave in, what did I just teach him?
Like nothing.
I taught him nothing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, eventually he got the bat.
Yeah.
But it's just those type of things that when you're raising a kid, you got to say no. And I didn't want to do that. As a matter of fact, Natalie got on my case. So come on, Bill, you can't be that cruel. It's not cruel. I got to teach him a lesson. We made a deal. We shook hands. We made a deal. He didn't live up to his end of the deal. So, and I don't know if that happens that much anymore.
Yeah, I don't think it does.
Where parents just say, well, you didn't live up to your part of the bargain. So guess what? Deal's off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, going off of that, I want to ask, what's it like with being around like your grandchildren? So, do you notice like any differences in how I don't want to say how they're raised, but like how you treat your grandchildren compared to how you treated your kids when you were raising them?
I treat my grandkids the same way I treat my sons.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I tell them no, they better not do it.
I don't hear that a lot.
No. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, they got to go home.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't have to deal with them 24/7. But no, they both my sons. Well, it's only my oldest son, Bradley, has 2 sons, and he's brought them up with the same values, and his wife has the same kind of collective understanding of the do's and don'ts in life.
Yeah.
And they've raised them right. And
That's good.
yeah, and when they come over, I mean, have fun, throw the ball, do that kind of stuff. But if I say no,
Then it's no.
then it's no. There's no. I'll cry. I'll pitch a bitch. I'll fall on the ground, stomp my feet. It's no.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that answers your question. It's just that.
No, it does. It does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know like a lot of people's grandparents, like once they have grandkids, they treat it like they can get away with anything basically.
Yeah.
But it's because they know that once they go home and they're with their parents, then that's when the rules are there. You know what I mean? But I like the idea that like starting with like your parents, those kind of rules, that kind of discipline, all of that just passed down to you, and then you use that for your kids, and then it just kept going forward.
Yeah. I never thought of that, but you're right. Yeah, the values that were instilled in me, I pass along to my sons, and my sons are passing along to their kids. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I think that's really cool.
And that's not there's not a big deep formula to it.
Yeah.
Okay. It's just what's best for them.
Yeah.
Okay. And if it's not, then they can't do it. Period. And yeah.
Okay, so now that we're moving out of family, we're at about an hour. I want to get into some of these.
It's been an hour, really?
Yeah, I know, right?
Holy cow.
Did it go fast?
Yeah, it has actually.
I feel like it has for me. I
Got my mind
I haven't
working.
really been looking at this at all. I want to get into some of these other questions. So, at what point? So you were talking about how you were working those jobs, but at what point did you retire?
I retired when I was 62.
62.
Well, I owned a company. Okay,
Yeah,
called
that's
Filter
what
Clean.
you said. You
And
said-
my sons kind of ran it.
Yeah.
So I just stopped taking a salary
Yeah.
and just started going to Social Security and taking that.
Yeah.
Because I was still having, I'd still get funds coming in from the company to some extent. So, yeah, I retired when I was 62.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I think that age has been going up like slowly.
Well, now
right?
now it's 65. They wanted to stay until 65.
Yeah, by the time I retire, it's gonna be like I can imagine. It's gonna suck. I'll say.
Even if Social Security's still around.
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing. People like want to get rid of it. I've had some people talking on the podcast talking about how bad it is. I'm like,
Well,
crazy.
the government's flitted away. I mean,
Yeah.
Social Security is nothing more than you put money into a bank.
Yeah.
Okay, out of your paycheck, you took X amount of money, put it in the bank, and that's going to grow and it's going to be there when you retire, whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
And that's good.
and that's good, but that's not what's happening.
Yeah.
The government never invested that money properly, so that fund, okay, that you've been putting money into is depleted. Okay, so that at a certain point, there won't be any funds available, and I'm almost positive that it's going to be a big problem.
Yeah.
Big problem. I mean, old geezers like me, we're not, we'll still get ours, but
Yeah.
younger people who've been putting money into this thing, they may not get it.
Yeah. It's scary.
And that's, once again, it's a politician making investments with your money, and they didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah, you definitely don't want that. I swear, me and my brother have been working summer job at a school district doing maintenance and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and we just got like our first paycheck, and my brother was like, "What? How?"
Well, with all the stuff taken out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm like, "That's called income tax."
Yeah, yeah.
He's like, "What? They're stealing my money." I'm like, "Yeah, they are. That's how it works." But yeah, it's kind of the same thing.
They don't ask your permission.
Yeah,
They
they
just
don't.
take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the employer has to do it. It's the law. The employer's got to do it. But still, you're right. And are you going to see that money come back to you in the long term? I hope so. But I don't have a lot. Our politicians are a bunch of self-centered, egotistical
Yeah.
people that are out for themselves.
Yeah, everybody just wants to get reelected. That's their whole goal. And they don't, especially when with certain positions where it's like 2 or 4 years, with those higher level governmental positions, like they're only looking forward to getting reelected for 2 years, and then those 2 years are just looking forward to the next 2 years or the next 4 years. You know?
And how they become millionaires.
Yeah.
If you're getting a salary, I don't know what they get. A senator might make it $150,000 a year or something like that. I don't
Yeah.
know. They come out millionaires. How does that happen?
Isn't it like the insider trading or whatever?
Exactly. Well, I don't know if it's insider trading, but it's investing in areas
Yeah.
and having people contribute to your reelection
Yeah.
fund, and all of a sudden that grows and grows and grows, and it's your money.
Yeah.
So now
What's the thing where like they invest in stocks where like they have like insider knowledge on that?
That's illegal.
Yeah, but
If they got caught, as a matter of fact.
technically, I think the only place it's legal is in like those where is it, in like the Senate, Congress, and all that. Because
I don't know if they have insider knowledge, but they know that there's going to be a trend in the market, and they invest in it on the side, and they make a lot of money.
Yeah, and it's crazy. It's crazy because they're like the only ones that know. And I was watching this. They have this. It's called Quiver Quantitative. I'm gonna shout them out because I see them all the time on Instagram. So, they will like keep track of what the Congress people are like investing in, and then they'll invest in them as well, and then notice like the trends, and it's crazy.
Yeah, I was hoping that there was a movement for a while called Reno.
Yeah.
Re-elect no one. Okay. So you spent your term in Congress for your 4 years or whatever, you're out. You can't run again. You're out. Just like the presidency. Maybe give them 2 terms. I'll give them 2 terms. But these guys are in there for their whole life.
Yeah.
You know, and they're not in tune with their constituents. They're just going through the motions, doing what they believe is the best thing to do, not what their constituents want.
And that's one of the biggest problems.
I think so.
I would think.
Yeah.
So, I mean, building off of that, I kind of want to ask, what do you think is like one of the biggest issues in your opinion, like in this country right now?
Yeah. I think we've lost touch with our values. You know, truth, justice in the American way,
Yeah.
it's not that way anymore. Truth, name me a politician who tells you the truth. Okay? They never give you the truth.
Yeah.
People lie all the time. Justice, they don't go to jail.
Yeah.
Nobody,
Especially now.
You know, so in the American way of life, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, it's tough for people now.
Yeah.
Because you know, both parents got to work and so forth and so on. So I think those intrinsic values that were part of the American life
That set us apart from other
countries is gone.
Yeah.
People try to find a way to scam you, try to steal from you
Yeah.
by lying to you. I mean, it's out of control, and you know, what personal attributes do you like about a politician? I mean, think about it. Donald Trump, he's got no personal attributes that I admire, not one. Okay, and most of them I don't have good quality values that I think ought to be instilled in every American.
Yeah.
And right now that's gone. I mean, I don't see those people. There are some that pop up, like Adam Kissinger, when he was on the council for the January 6th tribunal. He speaks the truth. I mean, he's a Republican. He said, I'm not voting for Trump. Liz Cheney, somebody else had good values. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And so I do think there are some politicians that do have good values, but you ask them a straight question, you never get a straight answer.
Yeah.
Because they're going to lie. So I have a feeling that's impregnating our whole society. People don't want to tell the truth anymore. They'd lie to you before they'll tell you the truth.
And that's one of the reasons why I like platforms like this, like podcasts, because there's a lot of politicians that are too afraid to even get on a podcast because they know that if they sit down for a long period of time and talk, they're gonna mess up.
Yeah.
Or because like if you think about like the news, when people talk to you or interview like a politician on the news, they only have like 2 minutes to talk
Mm-hmm.
or make their point, and it's not genuine. But if you have like a podcast, then you get to see like who that person is. You get to dive like I did with you today, right?
Mm-hmm.
I got to talk about like your childhood, serving in the military, your family. We got to see who you are. And I think more politicians should get on podcasts so we can see who they are, and as opposed to like what the mainstream media says about them. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I don't know how they get up in the morning and look at themselves in the mirror and say, well, I'm just going to go out and lie my ass off again. You know?
Yeah.
And I'm just going to lie and deceit and do whatever I can, okay, to get ahead in life.
And to get votes.
And to get votes.
Yeah.
How do you do that? You can look yourself in the mirror and say, yeah.
Isn't there like a statistic somewhere about like how many politicians are like sociopaths or psychopaths? Just because.
Oh, I bet you there is.
Or narcissists, straight up narcissists. It's
crazy.
crazy.
Yeah. Well, and what's happening? I mean, look at it. Those narcissistic, psychopathic tendencies, okay, are part of our presidential person. The person's running for presidency, they don't have those values. Okay, they are narcissists. They are psychopaths. They are.
They don't care about the country.
Yeah. They just care about themselves.
Yeah. Sad to see.
Are pathological liars. I mean, these guys lie all the freaking time.
Yeah.
And you know it. And they're still voting for him. And you go, why would you want to vote for somebody like that? I mean, I don't get it.
I think it's going to be a tough election. Like, in the next few elections, honestly, I don't see. Honestly, I think they got to get somebody that that is like transparent, which is hard. That's so hard to do. Somebody that has like a good vision, you know what I mean? Someone with good values, not afraid to speak, good leadership, you know.
And I think that's why America's dissolving into a thing of, well, people just lie.
Yeah.
Okay, why? Because president lies, my representatives lie, my
Yeah.
bosses lie,
Yeah.
everybody lies, so it must be the thing to do.
I also want to kind of go back into like you were talking about the American way. So I had seen this video of people getting interviewed, and they were talking about how what like the person would ask the question. So what if somebody like what if you saw a guy and he has like he's holding an American flag or he's wearing like an American flag. They're like, oh, that's a racist. I don't like how like being patriotic nowadays has a negative connotation, whereas like you're just representing your own country. You know what I mean? I don't like how it's spiraling like that. It's never been like that ever.
I'm not following you.
Okay.
If I'm wearing
Yeah.
if I'm waving an American flag, that means I'm patriotic.
Yeah, if you're patriotic, yeah, it should. That's how it should be, right?
Right.
Well, there were girls in that video. I don't know if they were associating it with like, I don't know what, but like I think they're assuming that patriots are either like racist or,
Well, they better look up the definition of a patriot.
Exactly. Exactly.
Look up a definition of a patriot. It has nothing to do with any of the things you're talking about. That
Yeah.
you know that they say, well, you're not dedicated. You're not a good true American.
Yeah.
That's what a patriot is.
And I agree. So I think people just like they get used to seeing like Ukraine flags and all of that, and they're like, oh, well, then you're a good person. People just like to throw up signs, just to it's like virtue signaling. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm a good person. They just want to be looked at as a good person, but they're not like showing like their own country, like their own patriotism.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know if you
Yeah, I do.
follow that. That was kind of confusing.
I'm following it because I think what you're trying to say is that
Look into
those
your,
look at yourself first.
Yeah.
I mean, do you have those patriotic tendencies in your life? Do you do those things? Do you believe in truth and justice?
yeah,
Okay. Well, yes, I do. All right, prove it. Don't tell me. Prove it.
yeah,
I think too many times people give you lip service, especially politicians. But here I'm the great guy. Don't tell me. Show me.
yeah,
Okay. Anybody can tell me things. Okay. It's the person that gets up and actually does it
yeah.
that gets my respect.
And it's just like you were talking about with your son and with the baseball bat. Like, show me that you can take care of it, and then I'll get you the bat. Show me that you're a good person and you have good qualities, and then I'll elect you. That's how the government should
Exactly.
work.
And that's the way it used to work.
Yeah,
Now, I'm not saying in all aspects. I mean, there was still
Yeah.
a lot of people that were in government but it was set up so that you would go in there, supply your services to represent your people in your district,
yeah,
and then you leave. After your term is done, you're done. Not now. That's not happening.
yeah.
And I think that's gonna bite us in the ass one of these days.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like a positive note to leave this off of, especially with like with the 4th of July, But I like to end each episode with any words of advice that you would have for people listening to this episode. So.
Advice about what?
Oh, well, it could be like life, or basically just life, or any words of wisdom you have for people listening or watching.
I always found that I treat people like I want to be treated. And if you approach somebody that way, you're going to be successful. If you're trying to change people just because you don't like their beliefs, you're the wrong person. That's their beliefs. That's their beliefs.
Yeah.
Why are you worried about it?
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Like, have respect for them.
Yeah, respect people. I mean, period. I mean, I don't understand it. I really don't. People don't respect each other.
Yeah.
You know, and it could be the color of their skin, or it could be their sexual preferences, whatever. I don't respect you because of those things. Why? You don't even know that person. You know, there's some great people out there, okay, that are misinterpreted because of the differences.
Yeah.
And I don't understand that. I really don't.
No,
It bothers me.
I definitely agree. There's lots of people of all different backgrounds that are
And so,
completely fine people.
yeah, if you address them like you want to be addressed, find out that they're good people. I mean, you might think they're a little weird, but they don't bother anybody.
Yeah.
You know, they're good people. They're good, solid citizens. Yeah.
Everybody's just trying to live their life. So,
Well, yeah, they're trying to live their lives, but on the other hand, they're not presenting those values that they want to have, and other people have it in themselves.
yeah.
They want it. You got to have those values, not me. You know. So that's, I guess, my words of advice.
Yeah. No, that's good. I definitely agree. I think people should always treat everyone with respect, how you want to be treated, the golden rule and all that. So, with that, I want to do a quick, brief summary of what we went over. Quick introduction was the Independence Day, what it means to you, like the history of our country and all that. Then we went into your childhood, going through high school, your training in Louisiana, and we talked about being drafted, and then going to Korea, and then we talked a little bit about your work and what you were doing, and then we went into talking about your family, your wife, your kids, your grandkids. We talked about retirement, Social Security, and then eventually we talked about like the state of the country right now, how people treat each other, and then finally we talked about your advice of treating people how you want to be treated with respect, the golden rule, and all that.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you for getting on this episode. I think a lot of people can both be entertained by what you had to say, your stories, and also learn from your experiences and the lessons that you learned. So
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, you were really well prepared. I think that you would segue into several different areas very nicely.
yeah, I did my best.
You did a real nice job.
So I want to thank you so much.
Caught me off guard a couple of times.
Hopefully not too much.
Thank you guys for listening to this episode of the Goal Swole Podcast. If you guys enjoyed this episode, make sure to drop a like. And if you plan on listening to any future episodes, make sure to subscribe and click that notification button.